Okay, I'm going to accept her here. And I'm going to just wait. 3, 2, 1, ignition. Come on. Do
Perfect.
it.
Oh, no.
It's
Hi,
not
guys.
coming. I don't know why. Okay.
So Elisa is just trying to get me in Instagram right now.
Yes.
We're all live in um, Facebook,
It's
in
several cameras here. Okay. You keep requesting me. I keep accepting you, but I don't know why nothing's happening here.
okay.
Accept again. It says that you are unable to join.
Unable to join. Okay, I'm gonna get out. There we go. There we go. Now something is moving. So
No, it's not. It's not. Uh, oh, yes,
we
yes, you're here.
are now live everywhere. I'm so sorry, guys, for those who are Facebook and X and YouTube, but we are now all live, and we have a very exciting topic today, and it's buying your home during inflation. So I think, like, Elise and I, we've been getting a lot of phone calls regarding this, because there's a lot of information out there, but sometimes some clients don't know what applies to them, or how to process the information uh, with an angle to make sure that is meeting your needs, right? So what Elise and I do is tailor everything to your specific situation and see if it's the best choice for you to either buy a home, or if you're selling your home and you're buying your home. But we're in a very, very, very interesting point in history, where we have so many things going on. We have wars around the world, unfortunately. We have the low one of the lowest rates of unemployment, that right now I'm going to talk about a little bit about that later on, that it has increased. But there is a bunch of topics that we are all gonna combine them to make sure that you know what's going on.
Yes.
And we definitely invite you to please book an appointment with us to make sure that it meets the needs that you specifically need. So
Yeah.
please make sure that you do that. I'm gonna put my Calendly on the chat to make sure that it's an easy access for you guys.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, Carla. And actually, I chose this topic because we wanted to demystify, and that's what we called our program "Real Estate Myths." We want to demystify all that media that is talking about exactly what is apparently happening in our real estate market, and specifically here in Toronto or in the Greater Toronto area. Since this is my market, if there are people listening to us from other provinces, well, Carla will have more knowledge there since she works in Ontario, Canada. But I only have the expertise to talk about my local market here in Toronto. So I just want, for those who are not familiar with, because they have not been really following the real estate market before, um, what's going on or what has happened. And as I did earlier in our other version, I would like to just give you a little bit of history, has been happening. Because as you know, the Bank of Canada has been raising bank interest rates during this sensitive time, since we are in an inflation and also technically in the first trimester of a recession. But we're going to explain all that later. So what is the perspective here? So the question would be, what is the highest mortgage interest rate in history of Canada? Okay, so we can start looking at things into perspective a little bit. So the highest mortgage rate in Canadian history was 21.75%, guys.
Wow.
In August 1981, and it was for a 5-year fixed mortgage, and the rate stayed for those months until October of that year 1981, and then it started decreasing a little bit. Now, as you can see, and people then still were buying homes, of course. Now you're gonna tell me, yeah, but I live now in this time frame, not back then. Hold on there, your horse, because now I'm gonna tell you what the benchmark interest rate in Canada has been. Okay, it was last recorded at 5%. The interest rate in Canada average is 5.78% from 1990 until 2023. Again, from 1990 till 2023, the average percent is 5.78 as the benchmark, reaching an all-time high, though, 16% in February of 1991, and a record low of 0.25% only in April
Wow.
2009. And well, now in October 25th, now this year, 2023, the Bank of Canada held its rate steady again. It didn't increase it yet one more time for another second consecutive period, keeping the bank prime rates at something 7.2, not including the variable rates discounts, of course, that many lenders may offer. But Carla has all the details on that. I would like her to help us and explain why would that be. After now you understand what has been happening and how people in all these decades still are purchasing homes and actually are not bankrupt. Because Carla, I have heard a lot of people telling me, with all these high rates, I will not be able to afford to buy a home because I will have to put so much money, almost 80-90% of my monthly salary or income, blah blah blah, and I will not be able to afford. Something that will not happen. Can you explain all those details to us,
Oh,
please?
yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, in Canada, starting, it was 2000 and I think it was 2014 that the government said, you know what, we have to protect Canadians, and we have to protect Canadians because they saw that the housing market was increasing very rapidly. So they said, you know what, we're gonna do an stress test, which, at that time everybody was like, what's going on? Like, I am able to afford more, but the bank is only giving me this much. Yes, it's because the government wanted to protect the consumer in case of an increase in rates. They were kind of expecting this in a way, because not it's not because they knew that something was going to happen. It's because, this is an economic cycle, and the economic is always like, it comes to a point that it's low, and then they have to stimulate, so then it starts to go up, 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 and then it starts to go down. So
Yeah.
because we were in the lowest rates for a very long time, they said, you know what, we need to make sure that if the rates go up, the Canadians are protected. So that's what they did. And so far, one thing that I can tell you guys, because I've been talking to all my lenders, which are, from many um, um, how to say it. So they are the ones that, take more risk, like the B lenders, the A lenders that take a little bit less risk and is a little bit more like, lenient, like the bank, and why not. And all of them across say that they are not scared of the industry, that they have this stress test in place that worked very well for people to, like, now that the rates went up, it has been working. Obviously, unfortunately, some people perhaps are having a hard time, and why not. But overall, what they found out is that Canadians, they rather reduce the cost of other expenses, but always keep their house. It's not like the American mentality where they go and they say, you know what, I get into this debt and why not, and then I file bankruptcy and that's it. No, Canadians are a little bit different, and that's why in 20 in 2008 in 2008, the recession was so much more different than in the States, because of the Canadian mentality of protecting their assets first before consuming other stuff. So yeah, coming from there, I will say that yes, there will be some perhaps um, people that need to sell, but we haven't seen it as bad as people were predicting this event to happen.
Yeah, and I've seen people, at least in this area, the people, of course, because in the period we are right now, and the houses are not really increasing their prices so much, and they take a little bit longer in the market, which we will visit later on in the program during this live. Um, uh, and I forgot what I was going to say. Totally.
Yeah, no.
It was very important though. um
It happens in a life, guys. I'm so sorry. So sometimes it happens, but it's gonna come. So uh, basically, what we are trying to say here in buying your home during inflation is, we want to make sure that you have all the knowledge that is the current statistics, the current facts for you
yeah,
guys, if you are ready, for you to make sure that we take those steps, and plan ahead and make sure that you do it with the best advice.
i I remembered
Okay.
that it was along with the point you mentioned about the sellers. So basically it's a good time also for, we're gonna start talking about why you can buy this time, and we're not gonna like lure you to try to buy, because we know you first need to inform yourself. So either call Carla and you call myself, and we can show you facts and you decide what is the best thing for you to do. But I have seen in this period, many sellers, why they are selling is not that like before, I'm going to sell my property because it appraised so much, I'm going to sell it for so much money, and because I'm going to buy really quickly something else. Why? Because now most of these transactions take much longer time. That means you are in a longer period of time under stress, so people don't want to do that much now. So who are selling? People who are divorcing. If you had a family member who died in that property, so you just a power sell. You just want to get rid of it and you want to sell it with your family. Or probably if during the inflation you have another business that is struggling, so probably you want to sell your property because you want some liquidity to save your business. So the reasons of really selling right now are different, very different, I would say, of what we are selling by 2 years or 3 years ago. So that is just along with the point you were saying, and I'm glad I remember that because I thought it was important to mention. And just going forward with this, with also Carla, also in our previous live, she mentioned what is the advantage now for you as a buyer. Now, still going along with all this financial mix that we're talking about, I'll jump to the market later. I just wanted to mention as well, if you think that you're going to buy now a home, you first need to make informed decisions. How? You need to make an exercise, a financial exercise with Carla. So you know exactly what would you be expecting to make for the pay for the mortgage, what your cost and expenses are gonna be. What about the land transfer tax, the lawyers, your monthly payments? what would you need to do in different scenarios. Carla can run these scenarios hypothetically with you, and you can realize if it is indeed a good time for you to buy or not. And also, if you're renting, probably you'll pay a little bit more in your mortgage. But again, you need to evaluate. Now you're going to be paying for your capital into the property. And eventually, this property is going to be appraising. So exactly how much are you losing or you're not losing in this sense. So you need to make all that informed decision if you decide to get into the market. But if you decide to do it and you do, then you have another great advantage. And for that advantage, I want to talk about what the media has been talking here, that we are in a buyer's market, which is not. We are not really in a buyer's market. So I'm going to explain a little bit what does it mean, these different markets, right? So it's really a game of demand. So we used to be, and you must have heard a lot, we were in a seller's market. Seller's market, what did it mean to you as a consumer or a somebody who was just listening to the news? You used to hear about bidding wars, about people over buying a home, sellers being really happy because in one night they could get between 5 and 15 offers in a closed envelope, and to choose the best they wanted to do to sell their home. That's a very typical seller's market. And normally that happens when the housing is more, there's some more, and so there's more potential buyers than homes. That means if there's one home standing, there's not so much inventory, there's not so many homes on the market. So for per home, you will have 5, 10 more buyers to try to get it. So they have to compete because more people want the same thing at the same time, right? We are past that. Now I'm going to talk about the buyer's market again. What does that mean? On the other hand, it happens when the surplus of housing is more homes for sale than buyers. That means there's so many homes selling and there's less buyers there. So you want to attract the buyers. So you start punishing the price of your home a little bit to attract those buyers to your home. And you start giving some concessions for it to buy. And now I was mentioning to Carla, we are not, at least not in this area, in a buyer's market. Buyer market is a really, really difficult market for sellers, because many times I have seen they even pay the land transfer tax for the buyer. They pay all the expenses, including the lawyers, so the buyer can finally get in there and get their property, which can be standing on the market between 8 months to a year, which is not happening in our area. So don't read those headlines in the news. We are actually in the buyer's market, and I'm going to actually literally read this for you. It was released on October 4, 2023, and it says where we are sitting right now. It says current market conditions. The market is balanced here in the GTA with a sales to net listing ratio of 43%. And to be said that, the sales to new listing ratio for a balanced market must be between 40% and 60% of inventory. And we are only on the 43%, so it's great. So the continuous tumbling Toronto home prices can be attributed to high mortgage rates and higher budgets because of the inflation, and the home buyers is affecting. They're affected by the inflation, right? And the high rates. So even though we are in this really tough situation, we have been having a lack of housing in the GTA. So even though we are in this very particular moment in time with inflation and high rate, that's the reason why the prices have not really plummeted all the way to the bottom, because we don't have enough inventory. We don't have enough homes for sale. And because of that, the sellers have been able to maintain a certain decent level of sales in the market. And having said that, even though we are in this scenario, I was explaining, Carla, that we have different micro niches, micro markets in the GTA. And every little niche will behave differently. So, some little niches, we are still a little bit in the seller's market. In some, we are really in the balance market, and in very, very few, and especially in some pockets in the condo market, yes, we are been going a little bit there into the buyer's market, but we are not getting fully in there because now we are getting back into the balance market in all those areas. But
Mhm.
now the golden bracket for those people who have been waiting, especially investors, to buy in condos, it's here. And it
Wow.
has been here for several months, because normally what happens in inflation, you can buy cheaper and you can rent very expensive. In every inflation, rents go really, really high. So that is a really an advantage for this investor specifically. And if you are buying a home and you want to sell your home, and if you are not in that predicament that I have to really sell your home, that's okay. You sell now a little bit
So
less, but you're also going to buy for less.
for less. So, Elisa, with all this information that you just gave us, I feel like, if you are on the market, like looking for a condo, it could be actually a good time for you to jump because is like you said, like it all depends on the pocket that you are buying, right? Like
Yeah.
this is all personalized to whoever is jumping in the market. But for first time home buyers that are jumping with condo, let's say for instance, it could be actually a good time for them to first have a good selection of properties. Second, to be able to negotiate not only the price but also the conditions within the contract that you guys do when you're buying and selling. And also on top of that, um, there could be a possibility to maybe have access to some areas that you wouldn't have access before, maybe. Will you agree?
Yes, I would agree, right? Yeah, but again, it has to be very personalized. You have to sit with Carla and with me, and we can't, first we have to figure out your purchasing power, and after that we can see exactly what are your main areas of interest in the areas you want to physically purchase, and from there we can determine exactly which pocket of your interest is the best for you to buy. And now we don't have to do it in a span of hours because the market is behaving slower, right? Because now that some properties, and it depends, but in average in this kind of niche can be sitting from 28 to 28 days to even 2 months. So it can
Wow.
be really slower. Yeah, and the negotiation, right? You can write, like Carla said, you can write all your conditions. And Carla also asked me earlier if I like this market. I love balanced market because, as a buyer you can negotiate and be happy with what you negotiated. The seller can do the same, and also the agent is very
Wow.
interesting. I love it because
And
I have the
you know what?
power to jump in and negotiate. If I'm representing the seller, I can negotiate. If I'm representing the buyer, before it was just like envelope, 10 offers here, and let's choose one, right? Done. So really I didn't have that much fun in
That,
that kind
that
of market.
and I want to elaborate a little bit about the negotiation of the seller right now, because when you buy and sell, remember there is a little bit of like uh, is what I see, what some of the sellers struggle the most, which is
Mm-hmm.
the dates, that you that when you are buying and when you're selling, and sometimes I see more often than not, like for example there is a possibility of a bridge loan, but the bridge loan right now, if like you can do it up to 90 days, but
Yeah.
uh, my point of view right now with the bridge loan is that if you have it for a long time, it can be very expensive. And it really depends on how much equity you need from one place to take into the other property. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that part of negotiation is really really interesting, because I think you're absolutely right. When you are negotiating that part, I think it's a little bit less stressful for the sellers to be able to negotiate all these little things by the time they actually purchase another property, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very interesting.
Yes, and it happened to me during these 2 months, which it's very rare to happen before. That after the offer was firmed up, we actually negotiated a close, smaller possession date with the buyer. Why? Because the property, my seller wasn't living in the property; it was rented. The tenant left, so we put it on the market. But however, the buyer needed a longer closing time. And again, we negotiated the price and the closing the buyer wanted. So it's not like before, even though the buyer wanted the property in 90 days and okay, I want it. So I'm going to put just the minimum, like 30
Yeah,
days. So the buyer said that they needed 60 days. But when we firmed up the offer, I said, yeah, the seller said fine. I adjusted the selling price for that longer closing, and the buyer came back selling that, can you close 15 days earlier? And the seller said, of course, right? And
yeah,
these little things, these little details you were not able to see before because the real estate market was seen as a commodity more than, like a formal business where people are putting a lot of money and investment. So I
yeah.
love it when it's this a little bit slower because everybody can, put their minds
Take
into
advantage.
it. Exactly. From
Yeah,
any angle. And you're right, it's not only the money, all kind
yeah,
of conditions that can be looked
yeah.
after, and people treat each other more like people,
Like
not
that.
like a number.
I swear, like I remember I felt like a robot when in
Oh,
like not only me, like it was like the whole industry. When you will sell, like send an application to a bank or an A-lender or whatever, they had
yeah.
a lot of deals. And it was an interesting time because they also were transitioning from being in an office with a colleague that they can go and, please, can you sign this for me, and something a little bit something that will take a lot less time will have taken more time because they were adjusting to the new working from home, right? So, well,
Yeah.
that's just something that people didn't see behind the scenes. That's why I was just like, not that I felt like a robot, but yeah, well, like it's like it was just like so much going on at the same time. And right
Yeah.
now, I feel like you are absolutely right. Everything is a lot more balanced. Even the lenders, I spoke to them during our conference at the mortgage conference in Toronto, and they all agree. Like we needed this balanced market. I think is a very interesting time, of course, because there's a uncertainty out there. But like Buffett will say, when everybody's panicking, buy, because you're gonna have so much more advantages. And whenever everybody is buying, maybe sell, because you're gonna sell at a higher price. So it's definitely a good market. And like Elisa said, like if you're buying and selling at this particular point, you're gonna sell low, but you're also gonna buy low. So it might not be a very bad idea to do it this way. And if you are a buyer right now and you are not selling anything, you're a first-time home buyer, sorry, then you have an advantage too, because remember, the rate is not for the 25 or the 30 years. It's going to be for whatever is your selection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And after that, you can renegotiate the rate, and possibly it's going to be at a lower rate because
Yeah.
um, as I was explaining in other videos, the economy right now is, was growing so much that the inflation started to go down. So now the government, sorry, the Bank of Canada, not the government, started to raise their rates, so the inflation started to go down. So now that for example, bonds are down from 4.4%, they went down to 3.8%, just to give you an idea on the fixed rates. Now we are seeing that definitely the economy is slowing down. Unless they see that the inflation spikes again, then the Bank of Canada will increase again. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's just non-negotiable for them. They really, really, really are very stubborn in that 2% inflation. Some
Yeah.
economists say that, like 3% or 2.5% is not that bad, but they really want to keep that inflation at 2%. That's just, some of the opinions of some other economists. But I think overall, we are gonna see, if nothing changes with wars and stuff like that. I think in the next 6 to 8 months, we're gonna see a change on those rates, and I think the market will rapidly start to be stimulated right away. So
Yeah.
if I think that is a good time, I think it's a very small window of opportunity for some people to enter
Yeah.
into this into this market, with the luxury of having those details that we discussed, like like the closing dates and financing condition, inspection condition. I think
Yeah.
is a luxury right now that you can enjoy.
What you say, the inspection, like before, is like some people would even enter to purchase with no inspection done, which is a really, really risky. But people were doing it, and now, not only
Because
people get.
they have a choice.
Yes,
They
I agree,
didn't
because they had like, okay, we have to do it in 15 minutes, right? If not, you're losing the house. Are you fine? No, I want to participate, and I want to. Okay, right? However, what I wanted to mention, yeah, a home inspection is always something really good to do. And even before, when they would purchase a house like that, I will still have the home inspection done for them, so they know actually what they purchased. So they know, what the house needs in terms of care, right? But that's okay. However, now what even is happening, Carla, you receive the home inspection, and now the buyer is even returning to the seller to ask them to fix some things and put in budgets in it before they actually get it closed. And we can write even amendments for that to be repaired. So you see, it's slower, but it's benefiting.
luxury. It's
It's,
luxury.
a, it's, a, it's complete luxury. It's like before, when a buyer had the opportunity to tell the seller before taking possession, fix this for
It's
me,
crazy.
right?
It was definitely crazy. It was definitely crazy.
Yes, and I don't want to scare off either the sellers, because also a balanced market for the sellers. It's also, I mean, I also like it, because when you're selling, you also are normally buying something now, so it also benefits you from that standpoint, right? And also now the sellers, when I also I also do a home inspection for the sellers before, so they're gonna sell. So now the market is not as fast. Now the prices are not changing like in a spur of the moment. They can receive their pre-home inspection, and they can see from there what they need to fix or change, so up to appeal better for the buyer, right?
Of
So
course.
on the end of, and they can negotiate the dates, as you said, the price and the conditions, so many things. So I do believe right now
Yeah.
all parties involved can have a much
Smooth.
sober, not better, but more sober experience of the process. Because frankly, you and I, we do it so often and all, like every day, but
Yeah.
our clients do not. They do it, once or maybe 3 or 4 times in their lifetime, right? So it is very different how they assimilate all these changes. I just wanted to let you know, guys, if now the properties are sitting much longer than they sat before on the market, that's okay. It's just
Yeah.
now we have to get prepared. We need to have a different strategy when we're selling and when we're buying with you. We need a different strategy and time it differently. That's all what it takes. And for that, well, you can always decide what to do once you get informed decision. And how you do it, you have to contact your professionals, your real estate agent, your mortgage agent, and you have one of each here right now. So you can ask us. Um, our consultations are, don't cost anything. You can ask us all these questions. We can guide you through. If you're a first-time home buyer, by all means, take that decision and start informing yourself, with the advantage that you can get ready to prepare yourself now. And let me tell you, I read one statistics that I loved, that first-time home buyers here in Canada normally start doing things, their research, like formal research, between 3 months and 18 months before they actually purchase, because they want to know what they need to plan, how they need to, what they need to prepare for
Yeah.
the very first serious investment.
And to be honest, this planification can be very, very, very beneficial for first-time home buyers or any buyers, like second buyers,
Or
uh,
for sellers.
or sellers. Exactly.
Yes.
So you know why? Because I find that the clients that take their time to do this planification part tend to have better rates because uh,
Yeah.
you know it uh, the banks and A lenders, B lenders, the better your credit score, the better rate you
Yeah.
will get. So it's good to prepare for your credit. It's good to prepare, for a down payment. Like there is so many little things that we need to make sure that are, in a line for you to go out with Elisa and start your the fun part of the buying process. So definitely uh, take your time with that planification part. It's very important because it will mean, save saving money. That is what it will mean at bottom line.
Yeah. And if you jumped into this life later, don't worry. All these lives are saved in all our accounts in social media. You can find it saved in Carla's and my YouTube channel, in LinkedIn, in Facebook, and in Instagram. All of them are saved. And if you found the information useful, by all means, share it with anybody you think, yeah, can
Benefit.
yeah, can benefit from all this information. And call Carla. That's the first step. I'm gonna tell you. You need to be pre-approved all the time. Call her at 647-456-6864, or you can reach out to me at 416-939-4497. And if you didn't have any pen handy, a DM us or send us a message in any social media. I think, Carla, you already put the Calendly right on there. Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
so there is my Calendly link. Um, Make sure that you book an appointment, which is completely free, guys. So take advantage of that because I feel like you know it will save you time. It will save you some money too, and it will also save you some headaches. Planning ahead is the best thing that you can do when you're buying a home.
Very, very good. And thank you so much, Carla, again. I always have fun with you and our lives. And guys, if you have any other question or you think about a question later on, by all means, send it to us and we'll elaborate on it on our next program.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Elisa. I really appreciate it as always. And as soon as you have that market update, please let us
Oh,
know so that
yes.
we can know what's going on in some of the pockets around the GTA.
Excellent. I'll do that, I
Perfect.
promise,
Thank
sometime
you
next
so much.
week.
Thank you, Elisa. Have a good night.